What's up, Spring Peepers? My name is Krista Spohr, and I'm with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation in the Division of Fish and Wildlife, which manages the Freshwater Wetlands program. Today we'll be talking about what a freshwater wetland jurisdictional determination is and how to request one through our website. Knowing where jurisdictional or protected wetlands are located is necessary before starting any construction or development projects to both protect those critical wetland habitats and also ensure your project stays on the right side of environmental regulations. A jurisdictional determination, or JD, is the first step in understanding where protected wetlands are located. So what is a jurisdictional determination? A freshwater wetland jurisdictional determination, or JD, as I said earlier, is an assessment conducted by DEC to determine if an area meets criteria as a regulated wetland. Knowing where jurisdictional wetlands are present can greatly influence how you design and plan your project. By avoiding these areas, you can prevent costly delays and modifications later on. Plus, it helps you stay compliant with Article 24. That's the Freshwater Wetland Environmental Conservation Law. A JD request can be done easily online by visiting DEC's website and using the link on the screen or scan the QR code. So now that you know what a jurisdictional determination is, let's put in an example request for one. First, visit the website that I previously mentioned and scroll down to the large yellow call-out box. Click on the button for the online form. You will need to allow pop-ups on your browser because the form is dynamic. Then enter the requester's first and last name. JD requests can be sent by any entity, not just the current owner. So next you will select who the request is being sent in behalf of. I'm going to select private landowner since that's the most common. Another thing to note, only the questions with the red asterisks are required. This next question, you can see is not required, but allows you to upload a shapefile if you have one. A shapefile is a common format used for storing geographic information. Next, you will do your phone number, and your contact email address. The phone number and email address that you will want the response to the JD request to be sent to. A confirmation of submission will go to your email address, so make sure to check your junk or your spam folders for that confirmation. Then you'll include your mailing address. This is the address you received mail from, not the location of the property you're submitting the request for. That'll be next. So I'm just going to do central office. So here you will search and select the location you're requesting about. And again, I'm just going to do the central office location. You will see that it will pull up a blue pin. When you have the blue pin, the longitude, latitude, that make sure it's correct. If you are on a mobile device, it will put that pin if you have your location turned on to where you're currently at. So just make sure this is correct. After this, you will have to put in the parcel, county, and then the last thing is the tax parcel ID. There are instructions and links here to help you find your tax parcel ID through the DEC info locator. By clicking on the link here, it'll bring you to the DEC info locator to search for your tax parcel ID number if you don't already know it. So let's walk through that now. You have to accept the terms and conditions to proceed. Then you open the search feature and type in the address of the parcel you are looking for. and then select that parcel. So I'm going to do Broadway again. Nope. Next, click the reference layers down on the bottom and scroll all the way to the end. Check the box for tax parcels to turn that layer on. You can click on the location to see the ID number in a larger box. Be sure to write down the number exactly as it appears, including all periods and dashes. So then, enter your parcel ID number. Entering an incorrect tax parcel ID number on a form will impact our ability to successfully process your request. In addition, you should double check all the fields are correct before submitting. Again, you will receive that email confirmation, so please triple check your email address is correct. If you believe you may have included incorrect information, please submit a new request. Okay, so now you've submitted your JD. Let's talk about what's next in the process. Submitting that JD request is actually step 1 in a 3-step process. So step 1, you've submitted your JD to determine if there's state jurisdictional wetlands and or adjacent areas within the property boundaries. This step doesn't specify the extent or boundaries of the wetland, just whether they are present on the parcel. DEC has 90 days to respond with a determination. A negative parcel JD indicates there are no protected wetlands within the area of your request and no action is further required. This is the end of the process for you. A JD is valid for 5 years, so projects not completed within that 5-year time frame will need to request another JD. A positive parcel JD indicates there are protected wetlands within the area of your request, and a project JD is required to determine if a wetland permit may be needed. If you receive a positive parcel JD, the next step, step 2, is delineating the wetlands to determine the boundaries. This can be done at no cost by scheduling a site visit with your local DEC regional office. On our website, you will find contact emails for each region. Alternatively, you can hire an environmental consultant to do the delineation, but this still needs to be verified by the region. Delineations need not to be completed by a specific time frame. I will explain why this is later in this video. Finally, step 3. Once wetland boundaries are confirmed, then you can proceed with your project planning and will need to submit a project JD. This determines if a project requires a standard Article 24 permit or a general Article 24 permit. This is for when you have a proposed activity in mind. It determines whether you need a permit for that activity within regulated areas. So if your project doesn't overlap with any wetland or adjacent areas, you can request a negative project JD from your region. However, if it does, you'll need to apply for a permit. Remember, if your project plans change after a project JD has been issued, you'll need to inform DEC to ensure you're still in compliance. So it's best to keep DEC in the loop. Now let's talk about the timeline for the process. DEC has 90 calendar days to send a JD letter indicating whether there are jurisdictional wetlands and or adjacent areas on your property, in addition to another 90 days for the project JD review. If you submitted a JD request and haven't heard back after 90 days, you may send a certified return receipt letter to DEC at the address on the screen, notifying the department of the delay. You must include your name and any materials you sent with your initial request. The automatic response you received when you first submitted the request can be used since it contains all the details of your submission. DEC has to respond within 10 business days, otherwise your jurisdictional status will be waived for a period of 5 years. Additionally, it's important to note that both JDs and wetland delineations are valid for 5 years. So if you do not complete your project in 5 years, you would need to submit another JD request. The timelines for wetland delineations can vary since there's not a specific deadline for completion. This is because these assessments rely on the presence of vegetation, which can only be observed during certain seasons. Additionally, the workload in the region affects when delineations can be conducted. They are carried out in the order that the requests are received. This is important to be aware of when you put your JD request in and throughout your planning process. And there you have it, the way to find the answer to the question, got wetlands? For all the information and resources discussed during this video, please visit on.ny.gov/freshwaterwetlandsjd or scan the QR code on the screen. Fill it out and give wetlands a shout. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video and learn more about New York State's jurisdictional freshwater wetlands. Thanks.